Warning: the following video includes images of dead birds, feces. This may make you unwell or uncomfortable. You're watching on your own risk. No animals are being hurt or killed during this service. This video is production of Skills for More, project created to help fantastic services employees to gain more knowledge and improve their skills about specific services.
Hi team, I'm here. The story is starting with the horror apartment. I had to park quite far away. Now I'm in mall parking, so I'm gonna have quite a walk. I'm gonna need to go through the actual shopping center. But anyway, I'm gonna take you on that journey with me, and you're gonna have a bit more understanding what takes for us to go to a job, and obviously the difficulty of finding parking and being able to transfer all the tools fast and easy. Okay, the journey starts now.
This lift is going down. Doors closing.
Well, now we're in a lift. Just for one story, still. We're gonna go now to shopping center. You're gonna see different shops, many people. I won't talk through the journey, but you're gonna hear better sync now.
Doors.
Now we're gonna walk through Lidl and slowly move towards the property. Interestingly, at the morning, obviously, there is not a lot of people in that mall, but believe me, in the afternoon, that day, it was full. I barely could move. So, obviously, I had to go several times to the car and back to the property until I take all my tools. Not that fun fact though, very often, people like myself, tradesmen, they are being robbed in these parkings. So the mall parkings, some of them are very secure. We have cameras everywhere, but most of them, I mean, you do have cameras everywhere, but you know, where you are parking, it's so many cars, and you can see dodgy people all the time. Some of them are trying, obviously, to break the windows and steal any possessions or tools, which is quite problematic. By the way, if I have your attention just for a moment here, do you see the yellow markings on the road? This is called yellow junction box. So if you are unfortunate to stuck in it, you're gonna get a ticket, which is 85 quid if you pay it in 14 days. Otherwise, it's gonna be 160 something. Now we are approaching the entrance, and in the next video, you're gonna see me on the floor already. Okay, here is the horror story, as you can see. I'm gonna put a mask, and it's gonna have a voiceover because obviously you won't be able to hear me with mask. We're gonna enter inside, and you'll see what we are talking about. After a brief moment of doubt, I decided to enter. Now you're gonna see what I experienced. Actually, it's not as bad because the builders which are working on the other properties above that one, they removed the birds. I mean, they opened obviously the windows before I came to work, and the birds weren't on site. Here we're gonna do an overview of the property, how bad is the situation. As you can see, there is guano. This is basically pigeon droppings. As there is no electricity, the property is being burnt. They had some fire issues. I mean, I believe with the electricity. I didn't ask, to be honest, but it works this way. You can see there is plenty of personal mail which I had to dispose. Obviously here it's really problematic, that area. I'm wondering where is Mama Bird leaving this egg unattended here. Let me look behind the door. I got you there. Okay, I promise I don't want to make these jokes anymore. But let's continue with the inspection. Here where is the toilet, there is a leak from upstairs. Lucky for me, there was a water in the property, but no electricity, obviously. Now, you might not see very well, but there is plenty of dead birds, plenty of guano all around the floor. Maybe on the video doesn't look like much, but after I finished the service, which took me a solid 15 hours to be fair, I removed around 8 bags with guano, and dead birds, obviously contaminated items like clothes and letters, other items. The property is, I think, 2-bedroom, because obviously they have living room, 2 bedrooms and separate kitchen. Each one of the rooms were totally devastated from the actual birds, but I think the worst was in the kitchen. Obviously, the bathroom was really bad as well, but the kitchen definitely, I think they really like to stay in that room. It's very light, which obviously they prefer to be light, and separately, I think they've been coming from that window behind the camera.
Let's start the job.
After this snapping experience, let's show you what I'm gonna use for work. So we're gonna start with a sprayer. Obviously, we're gonna mix it with we're gonna mix this chemical with water. This will help us kill all the bacteria and soften the poop. We're gonna use broom. Henry, my lovely Henry, I'm sure on the end of the service is gonna look exactly like this one. Unfortunately, I really love this hoover though. In the basket we have different tools like torch, scraper, small brush, broom, many other small items which I'm gonna need for the work. Here, as you can see, I already start scraping. Now, the problem with that poop is it's been there for more than 7 years. You can imagine how hardened the poop is, the guano. I'm unable just to swipe it away. I'm gonna need to obviously try to scrape as much as I can from all the surfaces. The birds are being all around the property, so obviously they've been on the top of the door, been pooping on the door handles, the floor, all over the floor, to be honest. So the first work which I'm gonna do is to start scraping every inch of the property. This includes walls and floor, obviously not the ceiling, otherwise it's gonna be interesting. The work, to be honest, when you're with a mask and with all the necessary protective gear, it's not that bad, but it's getting really hot. I had to remove some of my uniform and have only the cover on the top, the overall, because otherwise I might receive stroke from the heat. The property obviously is not ventilated. I cannot leave the windows open because of the fire they've been damaged. And even if I open them, because some of them actually can open from where the birds have been originally coming, then I will have visitors, which I have to deal with them to remove them, and so on. So I had to keep the windows closed. I opened one window at a time in the room where I was working, so obviously some of the dust could go out. The dust itself, it's very dangerous. So the pigeon guano, the droppings, in general, are very dangerous. In the guano, you have different type of pathogens, different bacteria, like Listeria, E. coli, and many others. So what is happening? The birds itself, we can see them very often around restaurants and food shops. So very often, people which get sick from salmonella is the reason for it. It's traced back to pigeons and different other birds. The disease bacteria are found in the bird droppings. The dust from the droppings can be sucked through ventilations, the air conditioners, and this way they can contaminate the food and the cooking surfaces in the restaurants, homes, or any other food processing facility. So when you are selling the service to a customer, my advice is not always refer to professional. Just say to the customer, we're gonna send a professional. They will inspect and they will give you the best advice on site. Because very often, from at least from my experience, is sales agents are trying to contact me with pictures to give a quote. I understand the customers, they don't want to pay or to save 50 quid for inspection, but let's be honest, this is a very specific service. Yes, it looks like I'm a cleaner right now, but on the end of the day, I also have family. I also need to take care of my family, my health. So if I don't know what I'm doing and I don't protect myself properly, this can escalate, and I can not only make myself sick, I can make other people sick. So thanks to all this fear of the germs, of what can happen to your body, all the bacteria, uh, all the insects which actually can grow in your body thanks to these bacteria. Um, I I'm trying to take extra precautions all the time, constantly cleaning myself, constantly washing my hands when I'm at work, when I go home straight away, a very long shower or a bath, depending how I feel. And yeah, it's what I'm trying to say is with the experience, the knowledge is coming. I haven't been to school to learn about the birds, how to deal with them, but this is something which you learn through the field. So you deal with the birds. For example, on that specific job, I could see many insects in the droppings, which obviously they were jumping. They easily can go on me, on my quotes. Then I can bring them home, and then potentially I can get sick or make somebody else sick, which lives around me. Further in the video, you will see how the birds actually are living. For example, the pigeons, yes, they look beautiful, but here in UK we call them flying rats because they are literally this. They're diseased, they are dirty, um, and they can fly. That's why my advice when you're going somewhere, having a coffee or tea with friends, and you want to sit outside and nicely enjoying the sun, uh, please be careful. If you have birds or flying, obviously, animals around you, it's very likely that something can fall on you, they can poop close to you, or they might poop already on the table. The table is being wiped, maybe not cleaned properly. You might touch it with your fingers or with the foot, and everything starts from there. So be extra cautious. Try to respect the nature, but mainly respect yourself. Look after yourself, because you know, even that the birds look lovely and beautiful, they can be very harmful to you. So, for example, here, after I cleaned all the envelopes, you can see the birds have been hiding in the storage on the top of the shelves. They pooped on the floor. I finished with the first room. Now, in this section of the video, I'm doing the corridor. Thanks to the wizardry of the video cropping, I could manage to speed up the video. Yes, it looks like I'm super fast, but in the reality, it took me forever. I believe you can see easily on the video how there is plenty of dust, and all this, can be inhaled if you don't have the proper gear. So what I'm doing, as I said earlier, I'm removing all the hard guano. After I finish with this, I'm gonna hover and then I'm gonna spray. On the next day, I'm gonna redo the whole thing again. So basically, I'm gonna start again scraping, again hovering, and final spray before the builders start obviously their work. Um, Earlier in the video, you could see a man coming to me. I spoke briefly with him and I said that he needs to leave because it's dangerous to him. The environment currently in the apartment. Luckily, I didn't create that much dust at that point, but during the day and next day, nobody entered into the property. I made sure that they understand that it's dangerous, and obviously we cannot be held responsible if somebody gets sick. Now, it's, as you can see, I'm trying to remove most of the hard pieces. Some of them are not falling, so the chemical which you're gonna use, it's a concentrate. It's actually works great, but I cannot spray with it and start working because the mess which I'm gonna create is gonna be enormous. So I always prefer to remove the hard particles. After I remove them, to suck with my hoover as much as possible from the dust. Henry, even that it's, well, in UK it's famous as a hoover brand, maybe around the world it's not that much, but it has a HEPA filter which absorbs a very big amount of the problematic dust, um, which, it's a good thing. And then it's very easy to dispose from the bag itself. I can just walk it and throw it in the bin. Now, obviously, with this kind of dirt, I cannot do that. It's a biohazard, so you cannot just throw it in the bin. It needs to be disposed correctly. So the correct disposal is basically to be burnt. The customers, they didn't want to pay for this service, so I left the bags for them. But yeah, they are aware that it's their duty if they want to dispose of this biohazard, that they're gonna need to find a facility to burn it and dispose of it correctly. Now I'm almost finishing here with the corridor. You can see the big pile of poop. Now the next section of the video, we're gonna go to the bathroom, where easily you will be able to see what I'm talking about, why the pigeons mainly are so dirty. Now you're gonna see a nest. The nest is inside of a sink. Last time when I was on inspection, there was a bird and there was obviously eggs. Now here what I'm doing, I'm removing the nest. You can see it's coming on one part, which means it's soaking wet. And so this wetness, it's not from the actual tap, from the water, It's from their poop, so they're pooping in their nest. The white things which are moving there are actually maggots. Now I believe you can see easier here how they're living under the birds. That way even the young one, they're already sick, and the reason is because of the way how the adult birds are, dealing with their hygiene. Now here, I was moving one big door. Uh, Honestly, I don't know what is doing there. It looks like a prison door. It was super heavy, more than 100 kilos. Um, but anyway, I had to move it because behind it there was a nest and also a dead bird and some guano. Now we are in one of the bedrooms. Uh, I'm doing exactly the same like from the previous room. I wanna scrape the floor everywhere to remove all the guano. As you can see here, and in the corridor, as well as in the rest of the property, there is a structural scaffold extension poles. So the poles are holding the ceiling. I believe due to the fire, the structure of the property is not mm, good anymore, and that's why they had to create this extra support just in case to don't collapse on somebody while they're working in the property. Um, to be honest, I wasn't scared that something can fall on me because it it looks quite solid. Before I start filming and working inside, obviously I check the property. Um, of course, I don't gonna risk making videos straight away. I wanted to make sure that it's gonna be safe and I will be able to do the videos. The camera which I'm using is Insta360. That's why sometimes it might look strange, like you're watching through a fish eye. But it's because the actual camera allows me to take a video in 360 degrees. Now the camera is lovely, but the battery is not, as well as the storage. So I had to connect it to a power bank so I can have power during the whole process. For example, the video which is, around 50 minutes, um, it's being cropped to maximum, believe me. Obviously, I could make it way smaller, but I wanted you to see in each room what I've done and how long it takes. Bear in mind that the whole video from which you are watching today, it's only one day of work. So the next day I've done exactly the same. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of work, not only the guano part and cleaning it, but making the video. Because I'm not a professional video producer, for me it's a bit tricky to find the correct words and to try to explain to a way that everybody can understand it, and it's gonna be also interesting for you guys. I will obviously appreciate if you have any comments or any advice how I can improve something. It will be great. So far, again, I'm learning by myself using YouTube, or to be honest, some things I'm actually finding on my own. So far, I'm using few programs so I can obviously concentrate the position of the camera, uh, towards a specific section. For example, me at the moment. Uh, then there is another program to crop it, to speed it up, third program to put pictures, videos, separate videos, music, voiceover, and so on. So yeah, it takes forever. So far, as experience, whatever I have like recording time, let's say this is 4 hours of recording, um, I need around 4 times the time to make this video 40-50 minutes for you. The previous videos which you've seen, I try to keep them up to 10-15 minutes so I can keep you interested in the video, because if it's very long, I know that people can get a bit annoyed, that takes forever. Also, some people might feel sick from the speed that I'm moving very fast, or the cleaning and all this. So if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. I believe so far you have quite a good idea of what is happening and how disgusting this job is. The next video is gonna be about mice proofing. So we're gonna work for a customer of ours which had a complaint, and I was sent obviously to provide a complimentary pest proofing service for him. There I'm dismantling part of the kitchen, doing the proofing. It's gonna have again voiceover. The reason is that when there is customers around me, I feel uncomfortable speaking. Also, some of the customers also don't feel very happy that I'm doing this. Obviously, I'm always asking before I'm doing any videos. I don't do anything on my own without permission, just to make sure that we don't gonna have problems in future with the customer and the company. But yeah, most people, when you explain what is the idea and it's for educational purposes, they're happy to assist that way. Here, now we are in the kitchen. You can see the amount of guano. It's just crazy. It's it already looks pretty clean from what I've done, but believe me, after the spray and after one more time of scraping, it was way better. It was way more improved. So yeah, here the same issue in the sink. We have again big nest, again the same situation with maggots, and it was wet. So as I said earlier, here you can see two eggs. Legally, I'm not allowed to destroy active nest or eggs. However, because there is no other way of removing the birds and the damage which they created to the property, there is a loophole which allows me to remove them. However, if they're endangered species, then obviously we're gonna need to contact RSPCA and find another solution. But for pigeons and general birds, it's absolutely fine. Here I'm trying to clean whatever is on the top of the cabinets. Um, they were nesting on the top as well. Plenty of poop. So as you can see, I've done already pretty much the most of the kitchen, at least the countertop. Towards the end of the video, you will see a lot of dirt on the bottom in the kitchen. This is all the collected pieces which I managed to strip down from the doors, from the cabinets, from the actual worktop. Going back to the advices, so advice number one for you guys is gonna be never force yourself to give discounts to the customers. So when a technician gives you a quote and obviously the customer says, oh, it's too expensive for me. They know, at least in UK, it's normal day to force their work to see if it's gonna be cheaper or if they can get a better deal, or just like this, just to try their work. And I understand it. But on the end of the day, the technicians which are providing the services, at least for pest proofing, the guys are trained all by me and they know never to manipulate or to don't go too much up. On the end of the day, everybody are trying to make money, but the most important thing, which obviously Fantastic Services is trying to keep as a main goal is to have happy customers, so they will be return customers. And this is what I'm trying to teach the technicians. But many times when I do inspections, they mention that they're one way or another forced basically to give better offers or cheaper quotes because the sales agents are telling, oh, the thing is not gonna be booked and blah blah. So even if this is the case, um, you know, I understand you guys, you're trying to do the sale. The service providers obviously wants to take their money, but we need to look at realistically what the job is worth. So, for example, this one, we quoted this customer something crazy. I overquoted on purpose so they don't gonna book. They booked it anyway because there is no other company crazy enough to provide this service. And here is the moment we to learn from this and to know that these prices actually are not that crazy as we think they are. For example, a few days ago, I was on inspection for mice proofing. The property was very expensive, maybe 50 millions worth. So, apartment in a building. The owner owns the whole building, but he has three apartments. I was on the ground floor apartment, which had two levels, so ground floor and lower ground floor. The lower ground floor had 5 bedrooms, like a big uh, room where obviously they can have cocktails. And interestingly, in the same room, they had a very big swimming pool. Separately to this, they obviously had lifts and they had secret rooms and they had gym room and all this. So when you give low price to customer like that one, or you even consider to give discounts, the person can actually get offended. Yeah, some of them they want to have the discount, but on the end of the day, we are providing service which it's one-time thing. So, for example, the cleaners, you can have cleaner every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. Oven cleaning, you can have it every 6 months, you know. But pest proofing, once. You do it once, you do it properly, and it's what I'm trying to say to the customers is to look on the service as investment, not like a ripoff. Because, for example, the pest control service, it's a great service. The technicians are really on level, really good guys. They know what they're doing. But on the end of the day, once the poison finishes, after a few months, maybe a few weeks, new mice can come. And the pest control cannot stop this. The only way of you stopping any pests entering in your property is to stop the initial entrance. So the source, if they cannot enter in the property, sooner or later they're gonna relocate and move somewhere else because the pests are looking like the humans. They're looking to find somewhere to to have home, to be able to eat, to be safe, to don't be attacked, and unfortunately, very often these homes are actually our homes. And from my experience, in this service which we are providing from the last 9 months, is that you need to be thorough in what you're doing. So if there gonna be a pest proofing for rats or mice, unfortunately the kitchen needs to be partly dismantled, if not fully dismantled. And the tricky thing here is that when you're removing the kitchen, you need to make sure that you're not making damages, you're not breaking the tiles or the worktop or the doors of the actual cabinets and many components. With the birds is more specific because they're mainly going, they're located on a higher level, so either they're on the roof, on the gutters, or horizontal external piping, which again is gonna be more than 3 meters from the ground. And here comes the moment where many people don't feel comfortable with heights. For example, in my previous video, if you watched it, we were around 15 meters above ground. I'm sure of it. I didn't measure it, but I'm sure of it because the property was on 3 floors and I was literally on the roof, on the flat roof of the property. And yeah, it's just when you do such a service, you really need to take your time, understand what potentially can go wrong, and do the best thing for the service, for the customer, and for yourself. That's why many times these services might look expensive, but they're actually something reasonable in the eyes of the technician. Advice number 2. So you usually contact the service providers when you need them. And it's fine. Obviously, you're on the clock. You don't have time to chit chat. But next time when you're having chat with technician and while you're collecting the data you need for the quote or for a specific service, try to learn more. Try to associate with this person to create some friendly relationship. It's just gonna be easier because many of you know me when you call and say, Dave, we need this and this. This is my problem. I'm happy to help you. But I like the people to be straightforward with me, to say, listen, we made a problem here, or I don't understand this, can you assist? I never gonna say no. Always gonna help you. I might not reply straight away on the emails. I might not be able to speak straight away on the phone because sometimes I'm working with customers, sometimes on the roof, sometimes I'm under a cabinet, but I'm happy to help. And I'm sure many of my other colleagues from the service providers, they will be able to do the same and they're happy to do it. Just uh, be open to the other people, be friendly, because to be honest, all of the technicians, they don't have nothing against the company or the sales agents or the customer service. But I see that there is a lack from each party, from the service providers, it's one thing, but definitely they have some stuff from the sales team, from the customer service. That's why I'm saying never promise nothing to the customers, leave everything to the service provider because that way the service provider negotiates everything with the client on site, and on the end of the day they take the whole responsibility. Also, one thing which many service providers are complaining, and I wanted to share with you, and hopefully some of you can take a note and improve for future. So the issue is when the people, I mean the service providers, they get jobs and there is not a proper job description. So make sure the address is correct. Double check with the customer. Mm, Double check the job description is correct. If it's too many things, put them as points. Point 1, we need to trim the door. Point 2, we need to change the silicone in the bathroom. Point 3, we need to do painting job. So the technicians can be better prepared, better organized. How to speak with the customer. Um, Obviously, I'm trying to gather as much as possible feedback from you and teach them to give more information in the file, so it's gonna be easier for you to work with the customer afterwards. Now, as we are going towards the end of the whole video, what I've done here so far is I sprayed several rooms with the chemical. Don't forget, this is my first day, so I have another day of this. Fortunately, I didn't take any video because it's literally the same thing. But yeah, what I've done is I sprayed everywhere. I cleaned, as much as I could. The chemical kills all the bacteria and viruses. It's very good agent. Just you need to dilute it correctly with water. And as you can see, I'm not only spraying the floors, I'm spraying the walls. not the ceilings, but partly of the ceilings where basically the walls and the ceilings touch each other. But yeah, mainly the walls and the floors. This is where I could see guano, where I could see feathers or nest materials. So after the first day, the next day when I went there, it was much cleaner. You could feel that it doesn't have that distinct smell of birds. It was smelling more like chemicals, but not in a bad way. There wasn't moisture, basically, uh, the chemical dried, but already degraded whatever I couldn't strip down. So it was way easier for me to remove the pieces which I couldn't earlier the previous day. So what I've done, I went over room by room, stripped, stripped everything what I could. I tried to clean bigger pieces where, I mean, when the birds poop, it's not only solid, they also have some liquid in the guano. So this liquid part is uh, full with acid. And as this problem in that property has been for the last 7 years, you can imagine that this acid it's very deep into the surface. So there is no way for me to properly remove it, but you know, I removed as much as I could. This was obviously negotiation with the customer and person on site which came to inspect me the first day. So I explained that there is no physical way of removing everything, but we're gonna do our best and make it as much as possible safe for them to work. I hope the video has been helpful and you liked it. If you have any feedback, uh, please share it with me. If you have other ideas or something which you would like to see in future videos, drop me email or a comment and I will be happy to do it for you. Well, see you in 2 weeks and enjoy your weekend.